You know that little voice in your head? The one that just won't quit? It questions you, it doubts you, it criticizes every single move you make. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into where that voice comes from and, way more importantly, how to transform it from your biggest critic into your absolute greatest ally.
So let's just start with a quick moment of reflection. What does that voice actually say to you? Does it just love to replay that one embarrassing thing you did at work? Does it constantly second-guess your decisions? Does it compare you to, well, everyone? The messages might be super personal, but that feeling, oh, that feeling is universal.
And you know, for so many of us, if you really boil it all down, all those little critiques and jabs, they all lead back to this one, single, powerful phrase. You're not enough. Sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes it's a shout, but this is the core belief that self-criticism is trying to drill into us, over and over again.
So what is this voice really? It's so tempting to see it as some kind of personal failing, right? A sign of weakness. But the truth is, it's a fundamental part of the human experience. Everyone's got one.
So the very first step is to completely reframe how we see it. This inner critic isn't a flaw in your character, not at all. It's actually a survival mechanism that our brains have been trained to use. And the most important thing to remember here is this: anything that is learned can be unlearned. So, how in the world did we learn to be so tough on ourselves? Well, believe it or not, it all starts with the way our brains are actually wired.
Okay, this is fascinating. It turns out our brains are basically like Velcro for negative experiences, but like Teflon for positive ones. It's a built-in negativity bias. See, to keep us safe, our brains evolved to cling to mistakes and threats. That's the Velcro part. But compliments, achievements, they just tend to slide right off, like Teflon. It's an ancient survival instinct that, in our modern world, just makes us replay our failures on a loop.
And it's not just our brains. Our environment reinforces this habit all the time. I mean, think about it. From grades in school to performance reviews at work, we're always being measured. Then you throw in the impossible standards we see on social media, plus any critical things we might have heard growing up, and it's really no wonder these external voices slowly become our own internal one.
And this brings us to the biggest myth we tell ourselves about our inner critic, that we need it, that being hard on ourselves is what keeps us motivated, what pushes us to succeed. But, we really need to question that.
No, seriously, think about it for a second. When was the last time that berating yourself actually led to some brilliant breakthrough? When did it make you feel inspired and energized and ready to take on the world? Yeah, more often than not, the answer is never. Real motivation just doesn't come from a place of shame.
Ultimately, the source material just says it perfectly. Self-criticism doesn't make you stronger. It actually makes you smaller. It shrinks your world, it shrinks your confidence, and it shrinks your sense of what's even possible for you.
And hey, the research completely backs this up. The path of self-criticism, it's a surefire way to fuel stress and anxiety, which just leads to burnout and self-doubt. But there is another path. Self-compassion isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about treating yourself with kindness, especially when you mess up. And that path fuels resilience, confidence, and real lasting growth.
Okay, so if the inner critic isn't working for us, what's the alternative? Well, it's all about actively shifting that inner voice from a critic to a coach.
I absolutely love this analogy. Think about a top-tier sports coach like Steve Kerr. He doesn't go into the locker room at halftime and tell his players they're worthless. No way. He highlights what's working, he strategizes, and he inspires them to do better. He uses encouragement as a tool for elite performance. And if that works for the best athletes in the world, just imagine what it can do for us.
And here is the key difference in practice. The inner critic attacks your fundamental worth. It says something like, "I'm just terrible with money." It's a destructive, dead-end statement that just leads to shame. The inner coach, on the other hand, addresses the behavior. It says, "You know what? I should manage my budget better this month." See the difference? It's specific, it's constructive, and it actually empowers you to take action.
So how do we actually make this shift in real life? Here's a practical path forward, a way to start choosing encouragement over judgment.
It really just boils down to these 3 simple steps. First, just start noticing when the critic shows up. Don't fight it, don't judge it, just be aware of it. Second, question it. Ask yourself, is this voice being helpful right now? Is it even true? And third, actively reframe the thought. Consciously change "I'm so lazy" to something like, okay, I could use a break and then I'm going to tackle that task.
Now, just a quick heads up. This is probably going to feel pretty unnatural at first. I mean, if you've spent years practicing self-criticism,
Being kind to yourself can feel really awkward, almost fake. That is completely normal. The key is to just stick with it, because with practice, I promise, encouragement becomes the new reflex.
And as you practice this, hold on to this powerful truth. Your mistakes, they're just events. They are learning opportunities. They are not, and they never, ever will be, your identity.
So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Imagine redirecting all the energy you spend on self-criticism and instead pouring it into self-support. Who could you become? What could you achieve if you finally decided to become your own greatest ally?